Hello
I was
there.
like, have a look at this good-looking human.
Are you looking in the mirror?
I am, man. I am. Look, fuck. I think I'm doing all right for a bloke in his 40s, right?
I can't even tell. I can't even tell, man. What's good?
uh, Mate, look, honestly, it's been a really full-on day, but a great day. I mean, look, as you know, mate, every day's a fucking great day. It's either kind of a 10 out of a 10 or a 12 out of 10, right?
That's how we started, bro. That's fucking great. It's 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock over there. I've been up since about 4 in the morning grinding as well. We've made a few
I love it.
sales this morning. I'm back in the I was out of my sales for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'm like, look, I want to ramp it back up and give some juice in there. It's a great way to start your fucking morning.
Oh,
Dopamine
100%.
hits.
Look, I still, even with where my business is at, I will still do about anywhere between 5 to 10 calls a week.
Yeah, no shit.
Like my average close rate's about 8 minutes. So if I look at it and say, well, like in 10 calls, I have about a 70% conversion rate. It's like the undercover boss thing. Like they're like, oh, my name is like fucking Chris or Dean or some random shit. And so because if they know it's me, they're going to treat me differently. So I just pretend I'm a sales rep. And reason why I do that is because I want to get the pulse on my customer. I want to understand what they're about, what problems they have. That way I can take that information and then, help with development with my staff in regards to the sales process. But it also allows me to understand how to better market the business, because I think as your business grows, you almost become like a quasi CMO. Where a lot of the strategy and the vision on the product that you've built, like, you're able to kind of communicate that in a way. So, and look, outside of that, hey, on those 7 sales, if the average cart value is, 3,500, I've done about 25,000 US in sales for about 8 times 10 for about an hour's work. So, hey, giddy the fuck up.
Yeah, I bet. And you can also scale that, bro. Like one thing that you mentioned is like, you're not trying to be the CEO of Clean Health. You're a sales rep for Clean Health. And it, like when you inspire your sales team, it's like, hey, I'm no different to you. We wear the same uniform.
100%. I think that's a super important thing. But I mean, look, we'll probably even just use some of this talk as a little snippet, mate. But I'm going to do the whole formal thing now for us, and then kind of get into it. I think, in essence, today where I want to go with it is, you've really kind of, I think you mentioned, like over the last year, you've kind of gone from like minimal to fucking bang, right? So I kind of want to talk about that, what steps you've deployed with that, a little bit of your background, but then also like talking about the type of customers that you're serving, where you want to go from here and stuff like that. And offline, outside of that, man, I want to talk to you about actually building out an e-commerce product with you.
Bro, you said that, and it's been like marinating on my mind for a long time. I've got the following, but I've never had the affiliate. I've never had the network to be like, I'm all systems go without that gray area. I'm not sure if it's going to work because it's a whole different ballgame. I don't want to play shiny objects.
Well, what you're doing is like you're at kind of, and I use the term stage one in terms of like fee for service. So obviously it's a scalable service because, and I don't know the details of it too much, but like obviously you're selling an outcome that has X amount of time that either you or your team allocates to doing it, but it's not automated. Right? You know what I mean? Because there's still post-purchase, there's still labor that needs to serve the delivery of it, right? Yeah. With your following, man, like what the fuck? Like, even if you get a 1% conversion on 800,000 followers, what's that? 8,000 people spending $50 US, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Like, that's residual revenue.
Brother, talk about this all day, every day for the last 2 months, and I've been resistant to it because I need to execute. Like, I got to have the execution. I know the idea; everyone has ideas, but if I don't have the framework and the execution, then like, what the fuck we're doing?
This is what we do, brother. We do e-com here at Clean Health. So we'll talk about it later, but let's get into it. All right, you ready?
Let's go. I'm fucking
awesome. Ready. All right, team, it's Daine McDonald here, your host of the Industry Leaders Podcast, where we interview some of the best and brightest worldwide in training, nutrition, business, entrepreneurship, and mindset. And today I've got a very special guest. His name's Patrick Hong. He's a fellow Aussie. He works as an online fitness coach. He was actually introduced to me, or we were met through our mutual acquaintances, the legendary Dasilva and Brian Mark from Canada. But I want to kind of talk a little bit about Pat's story today. This is someone that's obviously been in the industry for many years, started as an in-person coach, but over the last year has kind of gone from, being a homegrown domestic product to an international brand with over 800,000 followers across his social media channels. So, Pat, pleasure to have you here, buddy.
It's a pleasure to be here. I saw you post a podcast reel the other day. I'm thinking it makes so much sense to do full circle. I came from Australia, was locked down. I had my gyms shut down. I'm like, fuck this. I need to do something that's more scalable. I went online through our mutual, Brian and Cole. They set me up with a framework that went from, I was making no money a month, 50K in debt, to, we're doing 60, 70K a month now. And that's with the support and framework through the PT Domination. And here we are.
Yeah, look, and that's, we've got a partnership with those boys. They are the best. If you guys are listening right now and haven't heard of PT Domination, go to The Real Bryant Mark on Instagram and at Cole Dasilva or Cole Louise Dasilva on Instagram right now. Follow them. They are the world's premier online fitness business coaches. So shameless side plug or self plug there for the boys. But I guess coming back to you, mate, tell us a little bit about your background. Obviously, I know from our brief discussions, you were originally from the lockdown capital of the world, i.e. Melbourne. And you were working there as an in-person coach. But kind of how long have you been in the industry? What got you into fitness? Give me a bit of background.
2013 was driving from my Telstra job, going home thinking, I've made it. I've got an amazing brand of a company that has a backbone in Australia for a long time. I get to tell my Asian parents that, hey, I'm not a failure.
Yeah.
That was my whole, I'm working for Telstra. I was working for billing Telstra, Daine. And I'm picking up phone calls like, hey, fix my motherfucking bill. This is bullshit. Am I in the Philippines or Australia? What's going on? And I'm thinking, what the fuck? 70 calls of this every day. It got to a point where I started really neglecting my work ethic because I just felt like a piece of furniture. Whether I do good in one day or bad in one day, it plays no impact on my career or my finances. So I'm I'm a robot. This is bullshit. And I was driving home and there was an ad on the radio. Michelle Bridges talking about Australian Institute of Fitness. Yeah. And I heard the ad and I'm like, fuck it. I love going to the gym. People ask me for help already. I'd probably do this for free. I'm making okay money for someone that was a dropout in school. What do I have to lose? So I did my Cert 3 and 4 through AIF. And I remember there's one stat that the teacher said, and the mentor at the time said, look, there's 30 people in the room. Only 10 of you are going to probably pass the test and actually do something with it. 5 of you will stay in the industry for 2 years. 1 of you will stay in the industry longer than 5 years. And most people don't make it. He was just being so honest, and he wanted to call us out because we were a loud crew, and he wanted some people to really take the role seriously because coaching is a privilege, not a privilege, not a right. Yes,
100%.
So that's the bit about it. That's where I come from.
And kind of obviously working in that, and I know a lot of trainers in the Melbourne scene, especially over the years. Were you working in a central business district type environment? Were you working in the suburbs, corporate? Where were you working?
I was in Melbourne, western suburbs. Water Gardens is where it all started. So it was next to a train station. You're in Sydney, so maybe Cronulla, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere. And then I was working there next to the train station, and I'm just with the boys, training with the boys. It's my type of crowd. So it was a really easy way to get started. And
what was the average session rate?
Oh, damn. Oh, fuck it. You bring me back. Dude, we were doing $40 for 30 minutes.
Yeah. So pro-rated about $80 an hour. And what were you doing, 30 a week, something?
When my first year was maybe 20 to 25 sessions a week. And then my best year was 35 sessions a week in my second year.
Okay.
And
So you got yourself up pretty quickly, I guess, on those numbers to maybe, an average of $2,000 a week, but then you had to pay the rent and all that type of stuff. So you probably
$300 a week.
Yeah. So you're probably pocketing 60 to 70 grand, right? After gym rent or something like that. Yeah. Like most in-person trainers do. obviously, fast forwarding to the lockdowns and all that type of stuff, and where you are today, like what, and you mentioned before you had gym, so like what came after that? You went from working in person to opening up your own gym, or were you still working out of other gyms?
Do you remember a company called Metabolic Precision?
It rings a bell. It rings a bell. Yes.
So before F45, there was like these small little tight knit communities where the business model was about having a gym where you're not working in it, you're working on it. So you're only there for like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, and then you spend the whole time marketing. I like the model because like I don't want to be slaving away. Like I've been slaving away for a while, and I like to work smart, not work hard. And if you could do both, great. So when I launched into this business model, I thought, okay, fuck it. I've got the clientele. I'll just open the gym. Overheads are really low because we're in an industrial area, and they don't charge much because you're not paying for shopfront type of leads. So we opened this concept, and the first year did pretty well, actually. You know, I got into business with my partner, and we ran it for about 2-3 years. So that's our transition period.
And you transition into, I guess, from, working for a gym to having your own. How did it go from that to obviously then, going online? Like, how did that journey start? I think because in essence, what you're doing now, brother, is you're living the stereotypical dream. I think 5 years ago, the online coach's dream was like, go to Bali. These days, go to fucking Dubai, right? I think Dubai is really where it's at in the fitness industry. It's one of the reasons why, we're looking at doing our next live event at the end of this year over there, because it's kind of, you kind of see it as that future of where the industry is going. Like, how did that happen? How did you go from,
So that first gym I mentioned to you, me and my partner broke up, and I left the gym and I opened my own gym. I thought, sweet, my rules, my framework, I'm going all the fuck in. And I had a few people in my life at the time pass, and I thought I could spend all of 2020 being depressed, or I could say fucking use this as fuel and fucking do something great. So I did something great for the community because I lost someone. My high school friend was passed away, and I wanted to do something for the community. I knew his friends. We were very close, almost best friends. So I opened the gym, and the inspiration was because like my friend passed away, and he left me a beautiful message. And that beautiful message was, live every day like it's your last. Like every time I saw him, he was never bored, and he was always having fun and always making people come together through laughter. So I thought, I got to use this. I got to represent, So I opened the gym in Altona North by myself. First 3 months, sold out all my programs because like I had enough pain to like get off my ass. Like pain is, I feel like, the universal language. And if you have enough of it, you can move mountains. So I was only one man. So I've learned a lot since then. Now, 3 months in, bro, it's, our favorite neighborhood friend, Mr. Andrew, what's his name?
Dan Andrews.
I'm so far removed. I'm so far removed. Dan Andrews. He decided to, shut the gym down, and I couldn't believe it. Like I just borrowed $30,000 off my family members, and now I can't pay them back. And I promised them that this would be like instant. Yeah. So gym got shut down, and then we re-sparked again. They opened it again. They gave a little teaser. It's like, oh, we're back open. Not too sure, but So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's go all in again. I've lost momentum. Let's bring it back up. So we build it back up, and then boom, second one hits. It's like the Titanic, It's like, geez, we need to jump off this boat because I'm bleeding, and the landlords do not give a fuck. So I cut a deal with the landlord saying, look, I'll pay this much. You can see there's no yellow brick road here. So why starve me to death? I'm a skeleton right now. I got nothing for you. So I cut a deal, and I was able to leave. And I got into a pretty deep, dark place, bro. Like substance abuse, toxic friends. You could only nominate one person in your household at that time. So I'm like,
it was hard for a lot of society, especially down where you were. The rules and regulations were some of the toughest in the world.
You're driving, right? And as you're driving, there's signs, and the signs say, stay home, save lives. And like, you see it long enough, you see it long enough, Daine, and you think driving outside your vicinity 5 kilometers, you might kill someone. Like that was the story. And they like brainwashed me thinking
Yeah.
I need to do what's best and stay in my little box and be depressed.
You need to be a good little boy.
Good little bit, yeah. And
Yeah.
as man, being good little boy is like somewhat. If you don't have growth, you're not growing.
Nah, you
So
don't want
you're
to be a
gonna,
good little boy, mate. I'm not a good little boy at
yeah.
all.
I want
I'm a
to,
bad fucking boy.
yeah. And you channel that. You fucking channel that, right?
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
help a lot of people with that energy. You know, you control it. You can understand
yeah.
people, and like this is. I had to turn off the TV and like
Mm.
just yeah. Anyway, I got through that, bro. I found like I did find church. I found religion, and
Yep.
it was crazy how that happened because when the gyms opened up, I came back to a PT. I went back to Good Life. Long story short, the number one pastor in Melbourne was one of the name that hit my desk, and I trained him. And he's like, "I'm going to
Okay.
introduce you to church." I'm like, "Fuck church! Like, I've got nothing to lose. Like, I'm not religious, but
Yeah.
I need some hope and faith
Yeah.
because opening 2 gyms, Daine, and then going back to a normal PT at a Good
Oh,
Life gym is like."
look, that I can relate to that. Like I mentioned it in a reel I put up the other day. In 2015, my original gym that I'd grown, I had 40 plus trainers working for me. We were doing 25,000 coaching sessions a year there. It was a very busy and big business. Ran into financial strife, and long story short, I ended up having to liquidate that business and shut it down. And I was at a point where I was actually close to walking away from Clean Health. Like I'd actually like, you know what, I'm just going to go back to training people. But then, the thought of it, and that was after like I'd been, doing this now for like 12, 13 years. And I was very fortunate at the time. My wife, I was sitting outside feeling sorry for myself one night, and my wife was like, snap out of this, babe. Like this is not you. This is not your dream. You got a lot more impact you can do in the world. And so fortunately, I picked the resilience back up to be able to do that. But again, the era that I kind of came through, there wasn't necessarily the online opportunities that you obviously, took from this to go and pivot into.
Yes, when we pivoted, like I just needed a name. Who can help me? I don't know shit. I'm a big personal development buff. So I'm
Yep.
like mentors, think and grow
Yep.
rich. You need a mastermind. I'm like, I got no one. In Melbourne, lockdown, you have Dan Andrews and the government. There's no you just don't believe you lose all hope living in that
Yep.
fucking society. And then I'm like, let me start a podcast. So I started a podcast, and there was a
Okay.
name that I wanted to interview. His name was Jimmy Pompanino. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah. I know Jimmy.
Jimmy jumped on my podcast, and I spoke to him last week. And at the end of the podcast, I'm like, Jimmy, I need help. Like, thank you for jumping on this podcast, but I'm a fucking mess.
Yeah.
He's like, what's wrong? He's like, I have all the skills and confidence to do sales and get clients, but I don't have a fucking platform or a place where I can do this. All I know is gyms, and I don't trust the government. He's like, I'm going to give you a name. He said this, I'll give you a name, although I could help you, but I want to send you to the best. And for him to say that, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
He didn't have to do this. So he gave me a name, Brian Mark. I went onto his Instagram. I'm like, he's from fucking Canada. I'm from Melbourne. Like, these are 16 hours apart. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And then I saw his page, Daine, and it's like social proof, 10K a month. And I see some Aussies like from my place. So I'm like, oh, they're doing the thing. If he can do it, I can do it, And then I just shot I just listened to a few of his podcasts, and I just joined. And when I joined, I came through like a fucking hurricane.
Yeah, well, I could see that. So when you join it, and especially for the listeners out there that have kind of maybe on social a bit, they've got a little bit of a profile. Like when you joined, would have been what, about June 2020?
June 2021.
June 2021.
Yeah, June 2021 in February, March.
Okay, so 2 years ago, and this is a very good, I guess, learning experience for people out there. So 2 years ago, June 2021, you joined this mentorship program with how many followers?
3,000.
Yeah, and how many online clients?
2.
Okay, 2 years later, right now, June 2023, how many followers?
On all platforms, 1.2 million. On Instagram standalone, 806,000.
What the fuck? And in terms of online clients, how many online clients you have now?
We went from 2 to 615 clients.
So, and there you have it right there. A lot of people, I guess, limit what they can accomplish in 2 years. I know you touched base on it before, like what you're doing monthly. Like, what's your best month to date so far that you've done?
We've hit a record-breaking month the last 3 months, like after the other. So February, March, April, May, June. Last month we did 76.
Yep, 76,000. Awesome. And like, how many staff or team members do you have working in your business now?
Right now we have 11.
11. And with those 11, like, how many are coaches? How many are kind of support, ops, marketing, stuff like that?
We have 2 coaches. We
Yep.
have 6 assistants.
Yeah.
So they're support. We have a
Awesome.
lot of support.
Yeah, awesome. And I think, there's a saying, people come for the results, but they stay for the experience, right?
Yeah.
So, to the listeners out there, I mean, let's recap that kind of that information there. 2 years ago, Pat went from 2 online clients and 3,000 followers to now over 1 million plus followers across all of his platforms and 600 active clients. Has gone from probably on that 2 clients earning $500 a month to now $76,000 a month. So I guess what a lot of people are asking now is to kind of talk through that process. Like, let's talk about that, because obviously what you've done is nothing short of phenomenal, and kudos to you, brother, for doing that. Like, it's not easy, like, hats off. But I guess what, outside of obviously the mentoring, and we know Brian and Cole are great at what they do, like, what would you say has allowed you to kind of break that mentality, that limited mentality that you had when you started in that space, to doing what you've done now?
That's a great question. I want to play devil's advocate to my own success.
Play it.
And the first thing I would say is,
you're just getting started too, brother.
Yeah. I had nothing to lose. I felt honestly like I hit rock bottom. I look in the mirror one morning from mixing all these substance abuses, and I look in the mirror, I'm like, where the fuck am I? What am I doing with my life? Like, I will die if I keep doing this. And then, like, when that hit me, I'm like, well, I've got nothing to lose. So I'm not going to self-sabotage myself even more than I have. Yep. No one's coming. Like, no one's coming. No one's coming to save me. Yep. I was going to church for like 6 months, and I love it. It gave me hope, and I wouldn't be here without some sort of faith. But make no mistake about it. No physical human is going to come to my door, get me to sit in front of this computer and type content down. I need to write pieces of content. And I failed English. I failed math. I'm not that Chinese stereotype. I did not do well in school. So I'm just sitting in front of this fucking computer and forcing myself to sit here and just type and be disciplined. Good posture. Like the smallest shit, bro. And I'm like, stay here, and every time you want to like take a break to the fucking fridge, you want to go for a walk, call your girlfriend, whatever, you stay fucking here and you get the job done. And like, I had to like build this fucking monster, like in isolation.
You had to become you.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Thank you. I wish I
the
had
real you.
Yeah. I wish. Yes. I had to build me from the ground up and without any support. Because I was like struggling for a long time. I need help. I help your motherfucking self. Jimmy said this. He's like, if you join Brian's program, just let me just call it like it is. He's got a framework, but if you do not want to be the best, or you're not number one, why play? And he just put all the responsibility and accountability in my hands. And I'm like, cool. I got the modules. I have all the resources. Tony Robbins. He says it's not your lack of resources, it's your lack of resourcefulness. So I'm like, fucking squeeze everything I have. So,
well, look, on that point, they talk about like 3 or 4 of the common traits that successful entrepreneurs and people have. And one of them you've just alluded to is obviously the work ethic, but in particular, building out the habitual routine that you did. Like, you would not have been able to gain momentum if you spent half of your day feeling sorry for yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not to discredit people that are going through a mentally tough time from a mental health and mental fitness perspective. Totally get that. I've been there too. But I think, the habits is one thing. The other thing that actually showed is resilience. A lot of time, like, I've learned a lesson. A failure in life is only a failure if you keep fucking doing it. right? So, it's like if you are in a fight, a heavyweight boxer, you get knocked down. Sure, you might get knocked out one round, but do you get back up or not? And I think, the habits and the resilience which come from developing that mindset, it's a limitation for a lot of people in regards to realizing their highest potential.
Mm-hmm. You're completely spot on. It's the good old Rocky story. Everybody loves Rocky.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a favorite. He was the underdog. And the reason why we bet for underdogs, and
Yep.
Australia is a good representative of this in sport.
Mm.
We're the underdog. We love the fight. And I had my story. I don't make any mistake about it. But here's the thing. I know what you guys are thinking. But how do you hit 800,000 followers on Instagram with this hard work ethic? You're right. But here's the thing. If you go in with the mindset of, I want to go viral on social media because I went viral, you're going to fucking fail. And I'll tell you why. Because you haven't built a backbone to deal with the fact that no one's watching and connecting with your content. But you give up too easy. Like I had to just do content for a whole year without any expectation back.
And that's actually a good point to kind of lead into, because definitely, look, the mindset, the resilience, I think they're like drinking water and going to the bathroom, right? They're just prerequisites of life, like at least in the entrepreneur game, if you want to achieve some level of kind of success. But like, talk tactics, talk about the first time a piece of your content went viral. Like, what type of piece of content was it? Like, had you done something different? Like, talk to us a little bit about kind of how you started to explode, because you've obviously exploded to achieve such huge growth in terms of followers and business in kind of 24 months.
This makes me smile. And as you're saying this, like, what's the tactic, right? There is a tactic. Like, make no mistake about it. There's tactics everywhere. If you go on YouTube or Instagram, you just search up how to go viral. Who do you listen to? You get very confused. Here's the thing. You got to look within. You got to look for inspiration, but then you got to look at who you are. You can't create content if you are not that guy or you're not that brand. You have to embody it, because people can feel bullshit on the other side. So when I started creating content, this is a long story short, but I was on a dating show in Sydney for like 8 weeks. It was called Love Triangle. Don't know if you heard of it. I understand.
My wife loves those shows. She, so maybe she'd recognize you from it, brother.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Let's put it that way. So, dude, on that show, I was creating content. Like, I knew going on that show did nothing for my love life, my financial life. Like looking back, I wanted to just create content for the show. I wanted to do well. Now I found someone on the show, and we actually, me going in there not looking for love, I actually found something genuine. So when I was on there, I'm like, this is nice. This is like cool. But I'm here on a mission. I'm still on a mission. I want to I want to make sure this show goes on set, because otherwise, what's the point? But I got to work with the best people in Australia when it came to, drama. Everyone fucking likes drama, especially ladies. Keeping up with the Kardashians. They got all your eyeballs. Think about the biggest influencers in the world. Instagram, Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, the whole fucking drama, Kanye West. And I'm like, okay, I get the concept, but how do I apply? So I just said, after going on that show, number one rule of making content, do not be motherfucking boring. Number one rule. Anything that you do, just, even if it feels uncomfortable, just fucking go. That's the first step, getting out of your own way. The second way to create pieces of content that have more of an opportunity to go viral is you got to understand there's 4 platforms. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, and there's YouTube Shorts. Here's the cool thing. Every platform has short form format. So one reel that you create, you can send it to all 4 platforms. That's 1 in 4 in a day. I committed to 2 a day for 30 days with an accountability group in my mastermind.
Oh, I love it. Very good.
So nothing hit for 17 days. 18th day came.
240 bits of content out across platforms.
Yeah, bro.
1 month.
I wrote out now here's the thing. I wrote out the pieces of content that I wanted to do. Me and my girlfriend, we would go to the gym and do the content. You need a good partner too. If you're doing skits like me, having a good partner helps, because I'm doing 14 today. And she's like, I don't want to film every day. Let's do 21 today. I'm like, cool. So we filmed a whole bunch of shit. Like, and I had
Mm.
like shout out to her because she pushed me as well. We pushed each other. And on the 19th day of fucking Christmas, one piece of the content on TikTok, Dwayne, I'm like, it hit 200,000 views in 4 hours.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
know what was going on. My girlfriend's like, ha, you made it. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, I've been viral before. Here's what we need to do. I'm like, what? It's like, we need to comment back on all these people that are commenting on our posts. I'm
Mm.
like, okay. So I'm like, whatever. I'm happy. I'm in shiny. I'm like, I see deer lights. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand her. So, but she was just messaging away on my phone and just like replying back to everyone for 5 hours straight. 5 hours later, it hit 800,000 views on TikTok.
Mm.
And this thing was just blowing up. So I started doing it. And here's the thing, Dane. I told my whole team, my brother, my mother, everyone, I'm like, go on this piece and comment on every single post. And then this thing hit 3 million in 2 days. I repurposed the Instagram and that was climbing up slowly. On the 7th day on Instagram, it blew up to 1.5 million. And then my Instagram followers hit
Mm.
15K. Now, the reason why I
Okay.
hit 15K, ladies and gentlemen, is because at the end of this viral piece of content, I said, oh no, my girlfriend said, I definitely need to follow you now. So every lady who felt like they were a piece of the content, they felt the character, they embodied my girlfriend's character, which is
Mm.
newbie, naive, doesn't know what she's doing, doesn't want to hurt herself. Everyone felt her emotion. And then she's like, I need to follow you to like learn more. And then boom, 15,000 followers in like 2 days. And that was the
How many
beginning.
followers did you add on TikTok over that?
TikTok blew up to like 40,000.
Yep.
Instagram blew up to 15. Instagram was slower than TikTok at the start. So TikTok
So
was
you literally had like one post that got you 40,000 new followers across platforms in one hit.
yeah, that TikTok video right now is 9.8. I've reposted it 5 times on my Instagram. Every time it's hit over 1 million.
That's an awesome story, man, because I think, the key takeaways from me, even just listening to that, is one, obviously the consistency. Like you created some self-accountability. You committed the same way you would expect a client as a coach to commit to their training and nutrition. You committed to that in your business, said, I'm going to do minimum 2 a week or 2 a day for 30 days across all 4 platforms. I'm going to get out 240 bits of content in a month and see what happens. And obviously, what do they say? It's a Jenny, 21 days of doing the same thing to get some sort of measurable result. You got it on 19 days. So you beat that trend. But then the other bit that I like from that, which I think a lot of people don't realize with social enough, is you guys started to hack the algorithm through engagement, i.e. you didn't just leave a response. You fucking got in there and started engaging to the point where you probably had like blisters on your fingers. And
Bro,
I think,
I did hit the gym today, macros out the window, like fucking everything stops.
yeah,
Opportunities, you don't know when they come. And when they come, you
I can
fucking
tell
take
you,
it.
I've been around long enough, and like in social settings with people like a Lauren Simpson or a Mark Carroll or a Layne Norton or Sebastian Oreb or a Cole or whatever, people with massive social media followings, and these motherfuckers literally like this at dinner, at breakfast, during
Tell
the
them the
fucking
truth, Dwayne. Tell them the
doesn't
truth.
it doesn't stop. So I think that's probably another
Tell them the truth.
delusion/illusion that people should understand, that obviously with the online fitness coaching game at scale, there comes a certain level of responsibility that is universal across the space for you to your, I guess, your audience, right? Um,
I'm so glad that you hit that point. The people that are listening to this that kind of feel, oh yeah, but you're always on social media, you're on your phone. How do you disconnect? Like if that's going through your head, you're not committed to the process of success. You're
mm,
not committed to the process of greatness. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, they get up at 3 a.m. and they fucking go to the gym and train. Well, and they're jacking up shots well
mm,
before the game starts. You know what
yep.
I mean? And that's just where are you on your own chessboard? Like, do you want to be the king or the pawn? I want to be the fucking king. So king people have to do steps that most people won't do. So if this triggers you in a way where you want success and you want to well, we're being specific here, go viral.
Mm.
It's the complete commitment and conviction to the process.
100%. So talk to me then, obviously, and we haven't even touched base on this yet. Like you mentioned some of the clients that you were serving at that point. Like, what is the client demographic that you've really built this community with? Because I think obviously another success leaves clues kind of bit that I've seen with a lot of the people that I just mentioned is they've all got a very, I wouldn't say necessarily a super razor sharp, some do and some don't, but they've got a general demographic that they cater to as part of their business that they've built up a high-end following with. What's yours?
Female newbies between 18 to 38 that go to the gym and they're insecure about the way they look. They're on the chest press and they're not thinking about their form. They're thinking about that guy that's looking at them. That makes them feel really uncomfortable because she's probably thinking, am I doing it right or wrong? She goes home at night and watches drama TV shows, snacking away unconsciously. She doesn't know anything about food freedom, so she restricts carbs and then eats all back up on a Saturday night with her friends. She so desperately wants to get into the best version of her. The best version of her, that language is like foreign to her. She's heard of it, but she's never really understood it because she's not ever in it long enough to see success. Like I know my following inside.
I was just going to say, you just gave a masterclass on the level of passion and detail you need to have around your audience and niche. Because I'm sure, you could probably even tell me what color underwear a lot of these women wear with the level of detail that you were going into it with. And I think that's another thing too. It's like, if you're going to go all in on a particular demographic, you need to almost embody that demographic, which actually, and I'll ask the question, like, obviously you're not an 18 to 30-year-old, a 38-year-old woman. You're a man. So like, how have you been able to really connect with the audience? Like, because a lot of coaches out there might be thinking, okay, well, or even in other industries think, well, I don't necessarily embody that myself. I have the knowledge to help that demographic, but I don't embody it. I'm not that gender. I'm not that age. How have you gotten around that?
Well, let's call a spade a spade. Walt Disney, he was never a little kid making fucking movies for little kids. He was a fucking grown man making movies for little kids. Number one. Look at Nike. Shoe Dog. What's his name? Phil Knight. Phil Knight. He ain't making runners. He's not making basketball shoes. He was not making basketball shoes. He was making runners. And then he had a frame for basketball shoes. He had a person there to run the system. So get out of your own motherfucking way. Like, businesses are not your identity. It's not. I learned this from Tony Robbins. A lot of business owners, they embody the identity of a business owner, and they don't have their own personal identity. So what happens is they want to do what's best for them. When they create content, it's serving them. It's a fucking, for me, philosophy. When I create content, I look at my audience and I emotionally detach what works. These people like this. These people share this. I look at my insights daily, weekly, monthly, and I see what works. I write down all the fucking content that hits, and I do more of that. Okay? You need to audit your stuff like you audit your check-ins for your clients.
I love this. I want to stop you on that because it's a great, I think there's a lot of gems that we've gone through so far and kind of getting tactical here. Let's talk about kind of the auditing process that you have, because obviously, look, even if some people out there watching right now, they might do 2 posts a day for 30 days across 3 or 4 platforms and get that output. But for whatever reason, their content might not hit. They might not get the viral kind of thing, or output from it. That can obviously be a bit daunting psychologically on people, stuff like that. Like, what are you doing to basically, I guess, track, monitor, and assess the frequency and the quality of your content to make sure that you're getting the best return on time investment?
Beautiful. So everyone has an Instagram creator account or a business account. You're going to go to your professional dashboard and look at your insights.
Step one. All right. Step one, go to the insights.
Yeah. You can pull out your phone now. We can do like a masterclass. So here, when you go into professional dashboard, you're going to open up and you're going to see 3 things. You're going to see, as when you go to see all, the little icon in the top right corner, you're going to see accounts reached, you're going to see accounts engaged, and you can see total followers. Okay. I like to go to all 3, But if you do go to accounts reach, you can scroll down and you can literally see your top performing pieces of content. Don't compare yourself to me, because when I was doing it, my top pieces of content was 100 likes, 50 likes, 2 comments. That was my best piece. I will compare myself to me because I'm talking to my fucking audience. Don't go looking at other people's numbers, okay? Firstly, because that will derail you from progress. Once you find your best pieces of content, you want to pretty much go into the comment section and find out what they're saying about it. Like, what do they like about it? You know, curate like some market research. You know, big companies, they spend thousands, millions of dollars on market research. You ain't that, so do it yourself. So
get in your own DMs.
get in your own DMs. I would do this if I was like straight up starting again. For what I have now, if I have like some framework and some data, I would go to the people that like my pieces of content. I'd message them. Thanks for liking my content on machine tricep dip tutorials. Can you tell me specifically what type of content do you like to see more of? Or can you tell me what did you like about this piece?
I love this.
Do that 50 times a day over a month, and you have enough data to curate a message.
Well, and not just that, what you just did was actually, it's like a modern day version of prospecting on the gym floor, right?
Yes, those days.
See? There you go, mate. So like, because when we started as trainers in the gyms, you had to, like, if you wanted to get leads, you needed to go speak to 10, 20, 30 people a day. If you did, if you got 10 names and numbers a day across the week, that's 50 or 60 people that you've communicated with. Like, guys, listening right now, it's no different online.
Yeah, you're right. You're so right. The gym floor stuff. At first, it's the worst feeling in the world. You can't have someone, but it's fucking necessary. And if you want to make it, you got to beat the other trainers who've been there for 2 years, who have a reputation, who have a brand. You have nothing, so you got to do what beggars can't be choosers. So you go in there and you start conversation. Hey, what are you training today? You doing chest or legs? It looks like a leg day. You got the runners on for legs. Like, you start these conversations. I remember doing this and collecting all these referrals and stuff, and you get better and you get better and you get better. You build momentum. Yes.
Yeah. I love that. So, I mean, look, obviously that's nothing. What would you say is probably, you know, I mean, with obviously work ethic, you know, the whole engagement piece, the outreach, you know, what you just did then was almost like a cold outreach, right? So it's like, you're not going there to sell them. You're just going there to communicate them as one human being to another.
We still do that today. We'll still do that today. Every day I send out 80 messages. Hey, what piece of content do you like? That gets curated till this day. That's a concept we've kept. You don't stop doing what works. Another thing, well, I know you want to ask me, but one thing I want to touch on that could really help the listeners is when you go to your insights, go to your total followers. If you click on that and you scroll all the way down, it's going to have your most active times. I look at this every fucking week, right? And most active times, when are your viewers watching your pieces? That's when you post. Brian actually, shout out to Brian, he said post an hour before the most active time. So when you post it, the audience can wake up and see it. You know what I mean? So post an hour before the most active time. Yeah, shout out to Brian. So you can do that as well.
No, that's awesome.
Post 2 times a day at the most active times. Yeah.
And what would you say, like, you know, for a trainer that's kind of, you know, super fresh, like kind of struggling to really, you know, define their niche and who they want to work with, you know, outside of these other strategies, like kind of what else would you recommend that could help them?
Are we talking about in-person trainers or online trainers?
Online.
Okay. If you're first starting off and let's say your first 5 clients, run a free challenge, get your friends in there, get your family members in there, and fucking get some results. Because once you get results, you have one for yourself. Like, you probably don't have the best confidence because you've never done this before. Let's not fake it, right? So you need evidence, physical evidence of you transforming a person online.
I love that, because I think that's one of the a lot of coaches, they're like, oh, well, I don't have any results, blah blah blah. I mean, you just overcame that for them. You know, like sometimes you got to put the work in for free to get that efficacy and that data bank of results that show that you can actually do what you say.
Yep, you do that, and your current audience, like my brother, he's like working with me now, and he's putting his before and after photos up. No one knows he's a coach, but people reach out to him all the fucking times, like, "What have you been doing? What have you been doing?" So you can put your own before and afters up. Now, once you get this free challenge rolling, you have all the little small wins, screenshot all of them. You're documenting your journey right now for later use. Okay. Like step out of your own way and stop living day to day and think, I'm fully committed. It's going to take me a year to see success. Any business, ask any business owner, first year, you're not making money. And the profit margins for an online coaching company are probably like 50%. And most like corporate structures that are mortar based, what's the word?
Brick and mortar
based.
Yeah.
They're what profit margins for gyms, like mostly at 20-30%.
Yeah.
Online platform, your expenses are nothing.
Yeah. And by the way, just to add in, correct me if I'm wrong, you've done all this without paid ads.
No, bro, I run paid ads for 1 month and I'm like, I've got traction, but like, it's not worth it. Like the ROI on that, unless you've cracked it with ClickFunnels and you have a landing page, I'm not about that life.
I always tell people like you'll attract a higher quality potential customer if they've come to you based off the free value that you've given to them. Right.
Yep.
So if you're putting out there, and that's why, one of the reasons why we've always been so big on actually becoming a good coach and getting the skills and nutrition and training to be able to serve, because at the end of the day, if you look at like some of the success leaves clues, mindset, a lot of the top coaches out there, they're also actually all top online coaches out there. They're actually good at what they do. Like they're good trainers. Obviously there are some that aren't, but I think a common thing is that they've all got that learn, evolve, grow mindset as you do too.
It's funny. Back when I was hiring coaches, I don't do that anymore, but when I was hiring coaches, I had this one guy, 40, 50, got a lot of accolades under his belt, title after title bodybuilding. It was so hard to train this guy. And I don't know if it was an age thing because I'm younger and he wouldn't listen to me, but he was so stuck in his ways. He had so much like resilience. I have too much to lose to go on this crazy online thing, which is like a big question mark and uncertainty. That you have to battle that guy first. Once you battle that and I wouldn't go online if I didn't have recurring income in my current life, because then you're going to create content coming from a place of scarcity, not from a place of abundance.
100%.
Because people can feel it when you're messaging them like, oh my God, message me back, please. Hey, you haven't replied to me. Hello, I know you've seen. Hello. Like
one of the things I actually train our sales team in is if you have, we generally do three touch points with a lead when they come into the business. And if after 7 days, even if, for example, they've been issued an invoice or something like that, they haven't responded, I get them to close the deal as lost, send a final message saying, hey, it's great to connect. I understand that you're interested. If now's the right time, awesome, here to serve. If not, that's totally cool too. You know where to find us, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, a third of those that basically we close off on the system as done. We put that energy out that this deal is closed off. We no longer give a fuck, per se.
Yes.
They actually come back and fucking pay. Because
it's like the girl at the bar. It's like the girl at the bar.
Yeah, and it's not, and you know what? It's not even necessarily about like kind of playing the psychological game. It's more about, and you said it right, when you come from a place of scarcity where you're chasing, right?
People can feel it.
People can feel it. Whereas if you just close off and you've signaled to the universe that this deal is done as far as you're concerned, it comes back. So I think that's a massively important thing too. But talk to me then, obviously, we're in 2023 now. You've been, 2 years in the game in the online space. Like what's in store for the rest of 2023 and 2024 for you, brother?
I'm really hard-headed and disciplined in my own alignment right now. So like right now things are working and I have opportunities coming, like do this, do that. And like, I'm saying no to more things than I've ever had in my life because if you just stick to what works, someone said to me the other day, it's like, you give so much, Jimmy said this, like you give so much value when it comes to content. You could make like a lot of money doing this. And I'm like, well, at this, like money doesn't really change my life too much. Like I'm living in Dubai, I'm living the lifestyle that I want. Any more money doesn't really change my lifestyle because I don't have that much needs. I like impacting the world and I have a great opportunity to leave a legacy. And one day I'll have kids like you, Daine, where my ride just expands and gets stronger. And I don't want more fluff in my life when that happens. So for me, it's like keep doing what I'm motherfucking doing and expanding my network. Like I'm so happy and grateful that I got to connect with you last week and build this this
Likewise,
amazing
brother.
piece of artwork. I believe content is artwork, and
Yeah.
I wasn't that creative in high school, but now we have the opportunity to create art, and this is a form of art. And however people dissect this picture and this painting, I do feel like it will impact at least one person. And right now, it's just that's all it is.
I love that perspective, man. Content is art, and you're right. Like, you know what I mean. Like, I think the reality is, if one or two coaches out there that were in your shoes a few years ago, feeling down on themselves, like there's no way out, how could I ever go online? Oh my God, he's done this, blah blah blah. Because I think a lot of people don't see the story behind where you are now, and especially when you have such like rapid rise as you have, a lot of people are like, oh, that's bullshit, how did you do that? But I think the key takeaways from here is like, even though you've just done this recently, man, you've applied a very old school approach to it. There's
where you
no
came from, man. It's hard knocks gym environment,
100%.
knocking on people's treadmill.
Now they just get DMs.
Yes.
Awesome, brother. Well, look, mate, Pat. Honestly, that was a great chat, champ. I think there are a lot of gems out there for our audience right now. Guys, if you want to find out more about Pat, where do they go and find you, brother?
You can find me on Instagram, Patrick Hong Fit. You can find me on TikTok, Patrick Hong Fit. Even on YouTube, you can type in Patrick Hong. My name will come up as well. So, yeah.
I'm sure you'll find him across his 1 million+ followers. So thanks for having us today, mate. It was great having you. Have an awesome day, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks, mate. Just stay on, because I'm just
I got you.
Yeah. Now, that was good, brother. Thank you for that.